By far the most beautiful property in all of Napa Valley, at least to me, is Spring Mountain Vineyards. It's like the Garden of Eden, and it's stunningly beautiful. Spring Mountain Vineyards is probably the best kept secret in the valley, partly because of its hidden location and partly because it's not open to visitors without appointments. But here, the vineyards on the rugged hillsides produce some of the very finest and longest lived wines in Napa. They're crafted by a winemaker who is the epitome of an artist, one who has the luxury of drawing fruit from numerous different parcels on this large estate.
It's entirely, we're at 845 acres and 225 of those in vine. And of those 225 acres are broken into 135 different vineyard blocks. They're all unique, and you have to think of it in those terms. You have to think of it, this is my only one. You know, what would I do if this is my only block? How would I manage it? How would I want to make the wine from it? And so all we have to do is multiply that by 135 and we've got it. And so that's how we look at it.
The diversity of the terroirs on Spring Mountain is truly amazing. Each of the parcels is different and unique.
Each of them, the altitude is different, anything from 400 feet to above 1,600 feet elevation. 8 different soil types. All of these things come into factor. So that gives us a big symphonic approach, each one playing their own instrument, but all playing the same piece of music.
The top winemakers in Napa believe that the hillside vineyards produce some of the finest wines. Despite the difficulties involved in cultivating the vine here compared to down on the valley floor.
The major difference is that you can't use much equipment on the side of a mountain. It's hard to get those tractors with one wheel down and one wheel up. And so on the valley floor, it's so easy to drive straight down the middle, you know, of a flat piece of ground and manage from that aspect of agriculture. But here, it has to be hand manipulated.
Another key difference between the hillsides and the valley floor is the soil, or lack of. But it's the soil that is one of the main factors that makes the wine so special.
It's probably a bit of a euphemism to call it soil, because if you just think about it, on the side of a mountain, the rains come down. We average over 40 inches of rain a year. The rains come down and wash the soil down into that lovely valley, and that's where all the soil really is. Up here, we have less than a foot of topsoil in most of the vineyards, very, very rocky soils, and meager from the standpoint of, you know, vines trying to find sustenance. But what you do get out of that is concentration. The yields on the valley floor range normally for Cabernet like 4 to 6 tons. That's fairly average, and wonderful fruit. There's no denying that. But up here, we're lucky to get 2 tons an acre. Very, very lean.
But these low yields can create wines with a very different structure and a special style compared to those produced on the valley floor.
Up here, you get that intensity that we're talking about. So we get density. In some areas, you have color restrictions. You know, you have problems trying to get enough depth of color. We can't tell our Petit Verdot from our Cabernet here. They're all black. I mean, it's amazing the extraction that you get up here. So that gives us a different core, and we have more things like chocolate and espresso, and those kinds of flavors are base as opposed to those lighter, more feminine kinds of approaches.
The vineyards also tend to produce wines that are more tannic in their youth, but this firm structure can help them age for decades, providing a foundation around which the complex flavors can evolve. But it's in the cellars that Jack shows his real artistry, putting together a wine from such diverse parcels and varieties.
I may have as many as 100 different lots, fermentation lots. And we keep them all separate until we make the final blend. So there's 100 different choices that, you know, to begin with. But I liken it to a kid when you get that great big box of color crayons that like there's 125 in the box and you have every color in the world so that you can draw anything you want to. That's what it feels like when I look at all the different lots that I have here. So what we do first is look at the Cabernets that are going to go in, and we put them on a knife blade of decision. Is this a Cabernet that fits the image of our Cabernet, or is it the elegant beauty that goes into our Elevette? And so we make those choices first, and then we'll use those to make the base blend for the Elevette and the base blend for the Cab. And then we start elaborating. And then we start just adding. It's kind of like decorating your Christmas tree. You know, you start adding things to it to give it more volume, more interest, more beauty. And that's where the Cabernet Franc and Petit Verdot come in particularly. The toughest thing is to get the wines soft enough at release for people to truly appreciate where they're going to go. But people who understand great wines see our wines very clearly and very quickly. The wine that we're tasting right now, which is our 05 Elevette, is easily a 20 to 30 year wine, easily. And I would say that it may only reach its peak after 20 years.
Today, most wineries are under pressure to release wines quickly for cash flow reasons. The owner of Spring Mountain Vineyards takes a different approach. The wines are built to last. After all, ageability is the mark of truly fine wine.